We return now to the announcement today from the FDA and the CDC that they are authorizing an additional COVID booster shot for certain Americans. William Brangham has been following all this, and he joins me now. So, hello, William. Both of these agencies authorizing these shots for people who are over 50 and all of those who may have a compromised immune system. What was the explanation they gave for this move today?
The FDA and the CDC said that they're trying to do everything they can to protect the people who are most at risk of the serious consequences of COVID 19. That also, and the fact that there is this subvariant of Omicron that is spreading here in the United States, but has also been causing a lot of problems overseas. And so, while the FDA today tried to stress that the vaccines are still working in the most important ways, they're keeping us out of the hospital and they're keeping vaccinated people from dying for the most part. There is some evidence that that protection starts to wane at about 4 months, especially for older people and immunocompromised people. And so they also cited some Israeli studies showing that a fourth booster was protecting people and boosting their immunity. So, given that, and given this subvariant, the officials said, okay, we're going to authorize Moderna and Pfizer for a fourth booster. Separately, the CDC said today that for people who got the Johnson and Johnson vaccine and had been boosted with that, that they might want to consider a booster that's of an mRNA vaccine, so a Pfizer or Moderna shot for those people.
So, and William, we are reading that there was real disagreement inside these agencies among experts over whether this is the right thing to do. Some of them saying that the evidence is not conclusive. Explain what that argument is.
No, that is exactly right, Judy. This was definitely not a universally acclaimed move today by the CDC and the FDA. Some people, like Dr. Bob Wachter at UCSF, we've had him on this show many times. He says he welcomes this move. He's going to get the booster himself. He's a mid 60s healthy man, and he's going to recommend it to his patients. But there are others, many others, like Dr. Carlos Del Rio from Emory, who we've also had on the show, who argues that the evidence is really not clear, as you mentioned. They're not as confident about this Israeli data because it's fairly preliminary. And they say that maybe for older people, maybe for immunocompromised people, but for 50-year-olds and people younger, that they're still getting good protection and that that's not necessarily important. Also, many of those people point out that the virus is still quite low in the country right now. And so you might want to try to time your booster for when and if a surge starts to occur. That's complicated for a lot of people to do, but remember, if you do get this booster, there is going to be some initial protection after about a week, but then it too will start to wane after 3, 4, 5 months. So perhaps those people are arguing maybe you want to wait. And so there is some evidence also that spreading those doses out is beneficial. So again, a complicated reaction to this move today.
And William, it sounds like what you're describing is what could be a regular cycle of recurring booster shots needed to deal with COVID. Is that what people think could be in our future?
That is what officials are hinting at. There was talk today at the FDA presser that perhaps as soon as next fall, people might be up for another booster. I mean, the long term hope is that we don't have to be doing 2 or 3 shots every year, and that this could be more like a COVID booster, like you get a flu shot once a year. Some of that, though, depends on what this virus is doing. Some of that depends on whether we can do a better job here in the US of getting more people vaccinated. And equally as importantly, getting a vaccine out to the rest of the world so we can head off the next variant from emerging.
Well, I know this is something that people really do want to understand, especially since this has been going on for as long as it has. William Brangham, thank you very much.
You're welcome, Judy.